Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share is not for everyone. This is an urgent and important message, and it is meant only for God's chosen ones. If you are not walking the divine path, if your heart is not aligned with God, you may feel uncomfortable listening to this. And that is okay. This message will only stay with those who are truly chosen, those who hear God's voice even in silence. If you are still here, it is not by accident. This message reached you at the exact moment it was meant to. Divine timing is never late. God asked me to speak this clearly to you. The cycle of poverty that followed you for years, even decades, has been broken forever. What limited you is no longer allowed to touch your future. Heaven has already made a decision concerning your finances, your stability, and your provision. I want you to stay with me until the very end, because what you will understand today can bring peace to your mind and strength to your spirit like you haven't felt in a long time. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss any message meant for you, and share this with other chosen ones who need confirmation. And comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned, ready, and receptive to what God is doing in your life right now.
Why poverty followed the chosen ones for so long. Let me speak to you calmly now, because this part is where many chosen ones carry silent pain. Poverty did not follow you because you were lazy. It did not stay with you because you were foolish. And it certainly was not there because God forgot you. Poverty followed you for so long because your life was never meant to be ordinary. Chosen ones are built differently. God does not rush wealth into immature hands, especially hands that will one day carry responsibility, influence, and spiritual authority. Before God releases provision, He first develops perception. Before He allows abundance, He builds endurance. What you went through was not lack for punishment. It was lack for preparation. You were trained in restraint while others were trained in excess. You learned patience while others learned impulse. You learned to pray while others learned to panic. That season of not having enough was shaping your mind, not draining your destiny. God was watching how you handled little, because He already knew you would one day handle much. Many chosen ones were born into environments where money carried fear, conflict, or shame. Some of you grew up watching struggle become normal, bills unpaid, stress in the home, quiet prayers at night asking God to intervene. And over time, poverty didn't just stay external, it tried to live inside your thinking. God allowed you to see this early so you could confront it deeply. You see, money is not just currency, it is energy. It exposes the heart, it reveals priorities. And if God had released abundance before healing your inner world, it would have damaged you instead of blessing you. So He held it back, not to hurt you, but to protect you. Another reason poverty followed you is because chosen ones are often assigned to break generational cycles. You were not just fighting your own battles, you were standing in the gap for bloodlines. Patterns of struggle, debt, lack, and scarcity were attached to family histories. God chose you to be the interruption. And interruptions are never comfortable. While others inherited ease, you inherited responsibility. You were sent ahead spiritually before you were rewarded materially. That is why it felt unfair. That is why it felt lonely. That is why you questioned God more than once in private. But every unanswered prayer was still a heard prayer. God was timing your release, not denying your request. Poverty also stayed because chosen ones walk by faith, not by sight. And faith is forged in uncertainty. Anyone can believe God when resources are plenty. But believing Him when nothing makes sense builds unshakable trust. That trust is priceless. God values it more than gold. Let me say this gently. Some of you were protected by poverty. You were shielded from distractions, toxic partnerships, ego traps, and false identities that wealth too early would have introduced. God hid you in humility until your character caught up with your calling. You also had to unlearn survival thinking. You had to see how fear makes decisions, how desperation lowers standards, how scarcity convinces people to accept less than they deserve. God allowed you to observe this up close, so you would never return to it once He lifted you out. Chosen ones are observers before they are possessors. You were watching how money changed people, how it corrupted some and consumed others. That education was silent, but it was intentional. And here is something many don't understand. Spiritual resistance often shows up financially. When your calling is dangerous to darkness, opposition does not always come as obvious attacks. Sometimes it comes as delays, as closed doors, as constant almosts. Enough to survive, but never enough to settle. That was not failure. That was containment. God kept you dependent on Him so your source would remain pure. You learned to hear His voice clearly because you had no backup plan. That intimacy is rare, and it is valuable. Poverty stayed because your spirit was being strengthened, your discernment was being sharpened, your compassion was being deepened. You learned empathy, not entitlement. You learned gratitude, not greed. You learned how to remain kind even when life was hard. That kind of heart can be trusted with abundance. I want you to release the shame now. Poverty was a chapter, not your identity. It was a season, not your sentence. God was never disappointed in you. He was proud of how you endured without losing your faith. You did not miss your moment. You were being molded for it. And now that molding is complete. The lesson has been learned. The season has served its purpose. And God, who is just, does not keep His children in training forever. What followed you is not allowed to follow you anymore. The reason poverty stayed so long is because it had an expiration date attached to your obedience. And that date has passed. Let me add this, because this is where deep healing begins for many of you. Poverty followed you because God was also separating you. Separation always comes before elevation. When resources are limited, crowds disappear. Opportunists leave. Pretenders cannot stay long. God used lack to filter your life. Only what was real survived with you. Your faith, your values, your integrity, your connection with Him. Some of you noticed that even in poverty, you were never completely abandoned. Somehow, at the last moment, help came. A door opened. A bill was covered. Strength arrived when you thought you were done. That was God showing you something important. He wanted you to know early that He is your source, not systems, not people, not money. Money will now come, but it will never replace God in your heart. That order matters. You are also learning obedience in silence. Many chosen ones obey God without applause, without recognition, without reward. You kept doing the right thing even when nothing changed outwardly. That obedience built spiritual authority, and authority attracts provision naturally. Heaven responds to alignment. There is another truth most people overlook. Poverty slowed you down on purpose. Had things moved faster, you might have outrun your own healing. You might have built on broken foundations. God slowed your pace to heal wounds related to trust, self-worth, and abandonment. He didn't want wealth to amplify unresolved pain. He wanted peace first. And let's be honest, some of you prayed prayers that sounded like complaints. You questioned God, you cried, you felt tired of being strong. God was not offended by that. He listened, He stayed close, He understands human weakness. What mattered is that you never fully walked away. Even when confused, you stayed connected. That loyalty is rare. Poverty also taught you discernment. You learned who valued you for who you are, not what you have. That lesson will protect you greatly in the season you are entering now. You will recognize fake energy quickly. You will not be easily impressed. You will move quietly and wisely. So hear me clearly. Poverty did not define you. It refined you. It shaped your spiritual spine. It trained your mind. It humbled your ego. It sharpened your faith. And now it has completed its assignment. God does not waste pain, and He does not delay without reason. What followed you for so long was never meant to follow you forever. That chapter is closing, gently but permanently. God's decree. The cycle is now broken. Now listen to me with your spirit, not just your ears, because this is where the shift becomes undeniable. What I am about to speak is not motivation. It is not positive thinking. It is a declaration rooted in divine authority. God has already spoken, and when God speaks, cycles respond. Heaven has issued a decree over your life, and that decree is final. The cycle is broken, not weakening, not pausing, broken. When God breaks a cycle, He does not negotiate with it. He does not slowly fade it out. He ends it at the root. That is why this feels sudden to some of you. One moment you are still worried, still calculating, still trying to make sense of survival, and the next moment there is an unexplainable calm in your spirit. That calm is not denial. It is confirmation. Your spirit recognizes when a burden has been lifted, even before your eyes see the evidence. This decree did not come because you finally got everything right. It came because the season of testing reached its fullness. God is a God of order, and every season has an appointed end. The training is complete. The refinement has done its work. What you were meant to learn, you have learned. What you were meant to release, you have released. Heaven does not repeat lessons that have already been mastered. I want you to understand something very important. When God says the cycle is broken forever, He is not just talking about money. He is talking about the mindset attached to it. He is talking about the emotional weight. He is talking about the fear that lived in your chest when bills were due. He is talking about the anxiety that whispered late at night. That entire system is being dismantled. God is not giving you more while leaving you the same. He is transforming you from the inside out. This decree means access has changed. Doors that once required force will now open with alignment. You will notice that things begin to respond to you differently. Opportunities will come through conversations, not exhaustion. Provision will come through clarity, not chaos. God is removing struggle from the process, not purpose from the journey. Some of you are waiting for a dramatic external sign before you believe this. But chosen ones are not trained to wait for proof. You are trained to move by confirmation, and confirmation has already settled in your spirit. That is why old fears feel out of place now. That is why certain worries no longer hold the same power. Your soul knows something has shifted. Let me speak plainly. Spiritual contracts have been cancelled. Agreements made in survival mode are no longer valid. Vows you made in fear, decisions you made out of desperation, patterns that formed when you were trying to survive. They do not have authority over your future anymore. God has rewritten the terms. This is why some of you feel a quiet detachment from old ways of thinking. You are not losing ambition. You are losing anxiety. You are not becoming careless. You are becoming secure. There is a difference. Security comes from knowing who provides for you. And when God takes over provision, fear no longer has leverage. The decree also means divine restoration, not just replacement, but restoration. God is not simply moving you forward. He is compensating you for time, energy, and opportunities that were delayed. This does not always come as a lump sum. Sometimes it comes as acceleration. Things that once took years will now take months. What once required struggle will now flow. And I need you to hear this clearly. This is not something you can lose easily. When God says forever, He means it. The cycle was broken at a spiritual level first, and what is broken spiritually cannot be rebuilt by circumstance. You may still face challenges, but they will not define your financial identity. Lack will no longer be your teacher. Provision will. There is also a reason this decree came quietly. God did not announce it with noise because He did not want interference. Some breakthroughs are protected by silence. He allowed the shift to happen internally before it becomes visible externally. That way, when abundance arrives, you are grounded, not overwhelmed. You will notice that your decisions begin to change. You will think long-term without forcing it. You will plan without fear. You will say no without guilt. You will invest without panic. That is evidence of the decree working in you. This is not a season of chasing. It is a season of alignment. God is positioning you where provision naturally meets purpose. And when purpose and provision align, cycles stay broken. Let me also address this. Some of you wonder why others seem to receive faster. That comparison is no longer relevant to you. Your journey was custom designed. Your calling required depth, and depth takes time. What God is releasing to you now carries weight. It requires maturity. That is why it waited. The decree means you are stepping into a new relationship with money. It will no longer intimidate you or control you. You will see it as a tool, not a master. And because you will not worship it, it will not rule you. That balance is rare, and heaven trusts you with it. You may still hear echoes of old thoughts. That does not mean the cycle is alive. It means your mind is adjusting to freedom. When a prisoner is released, they sometimes still walk cautiously. But that does not mean the door is locked. It means they are learning a new way to move. God is patient with that process. He does not rush healing. He allows you to settle into safety. And safety is the foundation of sustainable abundance. This decree also comes with divine covering. What is coming to you will be protected. You will not lose it the way others did. You will not mishandle it the way others do. Wisdom will accompany increase. Discernment will guard expansion. Peace will stabilize growth. Let me say this with full authority. You are not stepping into temporary relief. You are stepping into permanent shift. This is not a season of just enough. This is a season of more than enough with responsibility, clarity, and rest. God has closed the chapter of survival. You are no longer defined by what you lack. You are now defined by what you steward. And stewardship is the language of abundance. So release the fear of going backward. You are not going back. The bridge has been removed. There is no return to that cycle. What God has declared finished is finished. Take a breath here. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind slow down. This is not a message you need to rush through. Let it settle. Because when truth settles deeply, it rewires your expectation. The decree stands. The cycle is broken. And what comes next will not require you to suffer to prove your faith. God has already seen enough. Let me add this final layer because it will anchor this truth in you. When God breaks a cycle, He also changes your spiritual posture. You will no longer approach life from a place of begging, striving, or convincing. You will move with quiet confidence. You will expect doors to open, not because of pride, but because alignment creates access. This decree also shifts how heaven responds to you. Prayers that once felt delayed will now feel met with movement. Not because God suddenly noticed you, but because the resistance around you has been removed. What was blocking flow has been cleared. And understand this clearly. You do not need to announce this shift to anyone. Let results speak. Let peace speak. Let consistency speak. God often elevates chosen ones in silence, so the foundation remains strong. You are stepping into a season where provision follows obedience naturally, where effort is rewarded without exhaustion, where stability replaces survival. This is not optimism. This is order being restored. And once divine order is restored, poverty has no place to return. Signs. You are already stepping into divine provision. Now, let me slow this down and speak to you gently because this part is not loud, and it is not dramatic. Divine provision rarely announces itself with noise at first. It whispers before it roars. Many chosen ones miss the early signs because they are expecting fireworks, but God often moves through quiet confirmation. If you are paying attention inwardly, you will recognize that you are already stepping into provision, even if your bank account has not caught up yet. One of the first signs is a deep, unexplainable calm around money. Situations that once sent your mind spiraling no longer have the same grip on you. The thoughts still come, but they do not stay. You notice yourself breathing through uncertainty instead of panicking. That is not emotional numbness. That is trust being installed. When God takes over provision, fear loses its authority gradually, not suddenly. Another sign is that your relationship with lack is changing. You no longer feel defined by what you do not have. You may still desire more, but it does not consume your identity. There is a subtle detachment forming. You are learning to want without desperation. That shift alone tells me heaven is already working behind the scenes. You may also notice that certain doors are closing without the usual emotional distress. Opportunities that once tempted you now feel misaligned. You are not forcing things to work anymore. You are becoming selective. This is a major sign of provision, because when God is preparing to supply, He removes distractions that would drain you. Closed doors are not rejection, they are protection. Another clear sign is clarity. Your mind feels less cluttered. You think more strategically without trying. Ideas come to you in calm moments, not in panic. You start seeing patterns, connections, and solutions that were always there but hidden by stress. Clarity is expensive. God does not waste it. When clarity increases, provision is not far behind. Some of you are experiencing a shift in discipline. Not harsh discipline, but natural order. You sleep better. You wake up with intention. You are more mindful with your time and energy. This is not self-improvement hype. This is alignment. When provision is coming, God strengthens your inner structure so you can hold it. Pay attention to how people are responding to you. You may notice increased respect, even without explanation. People listen differently. Conversations open doors. Your presence carries weight. This is not ego. This is authority forming, and authority attracts resources. Another sign is that you are no longer chasing validation through money. You do not feel the urge to prove yourself. You are comfortable being unseen. This is powerful. God trusts those who do not need applause with visible blessings. You may also notice that old financial fears are surfacing briefly and then dissolving. This is not regression. This is release. When healing is near completion, old patterns make one last attempt to stay relevant. Do not fight them aggressively. Simply observe and let them pass. They no longer have roots. Some of you are experiencing divine delays that feel peaceful instead of frustrating. That is new for you. In the past, delays triggered anxiety. Now they feel purposeful. That is a strong indicator that you trust the process at a deeper level. Trust is the currency of heaven. Another sign is generosity awakening in you, even before abundance arrives. You feel joy in giving time, attention, kindness, or support. God often awakens generosity before increasing resources because generosity is the flow mechanism. What flows through you can multiply. You may also find yourself withdrawing from conversations rooted in fear, complaint, or scarcity. This is not arrogance. It is self-preservation. Your spirit is protecting its atmosphere. When provision is forming, God guards your environment carefully. Notice how your prayers have changed. You are no longer begging. You are conversing. You are not repeating the same anxious requests. You are listening more. That shift in prayer language signals maturity. Mature prayers are answered differently. Another sign is that you are becoming comfortable with stillness. You are not constantly trying to fix everything. You trust God to move even when you are resting. Rest is not laziness. It is confidence in divine order. Some of you are also noticing synchronicities. Right conversations at the right time. Information arriving when you need it. Subtle alignment that cannot be forced. These are not coincidences. They are signs of orchestration. Your emotional reactions are changing too. You recover faster from setbacks. You do not dwell as long. You are not suppressing emotion. You are processing it healthily. That emotional stability is essential for sustainable provision. You may also feel a quiet excitement without anxiety. Not adrenaline, but anticipation. It feels grounded. That is hope anchored in faith, not fantasy. Another important sign is that you are less tempted by shortcuts. Quick money schemes, rushed decisions, or misaligned opportunities no longer appeal to you. That discernment is protection. God does not rush those he is preparing to trust. Some of you are experiencing increased patience with yourself. You are no longer harsh internally. You speak to yourself with grace. That inner kindness is evidence of healing, and healed people manage resources wisely. You may also notice that certain relationships are fading naturally. There is no drama, just distance. God often removes voices that reinforce scarcity before releasing abundance. Pay attention to your body. Tension is releasing. Your nervous system is calming. Provision does not just affect finances, it affects safety. When safety increases, your body responds. Another sign is that you are beginning to plan again, not out of fear, but out of vision. You think about the future without dread. That alone is a breakthrough. You may still have questions. That is normal. Faith does not remove curiosity. It removes fear. And fear is what used to control your decisions. Let me remind you of this. Provision begins internally. If God waited for external perfection, no one would ever receive. He moves when the heart is ready, not when circumstances are ideal. You are already stepping into it. Do not rush the evidence. Let alignment do its work. What is forming now is meant to last. What God expects from you in this new season. Now listen closely, because this season is not just about receiving. It is about becoming. When God shifts you from survival into provision, He also adjusts what He expects from you. Not in a heavy way, not in a demanding way, but in a way that protects what He is about to release. This is where many blessings are either stabilized or quietly sabotaged, depending on how you move. The first thing God expects from you is stewardship, not obsession. You are not meant to fixate on money or chase it with anxiety. God does not bless desperation. He blesses alignment. Stewardship means you manage what is in your hands with wisdom and peace, no matter the amount. When you honor the little without resentment, heaven notices. God also expects obedience over hustle. This is important. You were trained in endurance during the hard years, but this season is not about grinding yourself into exhaustion. It is about listening. God will give you instructions that do not always make sense logically, but they will feel right spiritually. When you obey quickly and calmly, provision follows naturally. Another expectation is rest without guilt. Many chosen ones feel uncomfortable resting because they associate rest with laziness. That belief was formed in survival mode. God is now teaching you something new. Rest is trust. When you rest, you are saying, I trust God to work even when I am still. That trust creates space for creativity and clarity. God also expects emotional regulation. This means you do not allow fear, excitement, or pressure to control your decisions. Extreme emotion leads to impulsive choices. God wants you grounded. Calm decisions last longer. If something feels rushed, forced, or chaotic, pause. Provision does not require panic. You are also expected to remain humble without shrinking. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking clearly. God does not want you to feel unworthy of abundance. That mindset dishonors His provision. Receive with gratitude, not guilt. Another key expectation is patience with process. Even when provision begins to flow, growth happens in stages. God builds sustainability slowly. Do not compare your pace to others. Your journey is measured, not delayed. Rushing creates cracks. Patience strengthens foundations. God also expects discernment in relationships. Not everyone who knew you in survival mode should have access to you in provision. Some connections were seasonal. You do not need to announce boundaries, just honor them quietly. Peace will confirm your choices. There is also an expectation of integrity. This is non-negotiable. God will not bless dishonesty long-term. Do the right thing even when shortcuts are available. Integrity keeps channels open. Compromise clogs them. God expects you to shift how you speak. Words carry weight. Stop declaring struggle over yourself. Stop identifying with lack. Speak with wisdom, not arrogance. Speak with faith, not fear. Language shapes perception. Another expectation is generosity without pressure. God does not force giving, He invites it. Give from peace, not obligation. Generosity keeps flow moving. It reminds you that you are a channel, not a container. You are also expected to honor timing. Just because you can move does not mean you should. Wait for clarity. God often confirms direction multiple times. Impulsive moves drain resources. Aligned moves multiply them. God expects you to guard your mind. What you consume mentally matters. Avoid environments that glorify fear, greed, or chaos. Your spirit needs clean space to hear clearly. Protection of peace is protection of provision. There is also an expectation of responsibility. With increase comes impact. God will place opportunities before you that involve helping others, building something meaningful, or creating stability beyond yourself. Do not shy away from responsibility. It is a sign of trust. God expects you to stay teachable. Success can harden hearts if humility is lost. Stay open, stay curious, stay grounded. Wisdom grows with those who remain students. You are also expected to forgive. Carrying resentment blocks flow. Forgiveness is not approval, it is release. God cannot pour into clenched hands. Let go internally so you can receive fully. Another expectation is consistency. Do not abandon good habits once things improve. Consistency builds longevity. Small daily discipline protects large blessings. God expects gratitude to become your default posture. Not forced gratitude, but awareness. Gratitude stabilizes joy. It keeps abundance from becoming entitlement. You are also expected to remain aligned spiritually. Prayer, reflection, and connection are not optional accessories. They are anchors. Stay connected to the source, not just the supply. Let me say this gently. God is not testing you now. He is trusting you. There is a difference. Tests create pressure. Trust creates responsibility. And finally, God expects you to walk forward without fear of going backward. That fear no longer serves you. You are not fragile. What is being built is strong. This season requires calm courage, not loud confidence, not anxious effort, just steady alignment. When you move this way, provision does not just arrive, it stays. Let me add this carefully, because this is where many chosen ones misunderstand God's heart. God also expects honesty with yourself in this season, not spiritual performance, not pretending you are stronger than you are. If fear rises, acknowledge it. If uncertainty appears, bring it to God instead of burying it. Authenticity keeps you grounded. God can guide what you are willing to see. There is also an expectation of emotional maturity. This means you do not react the way you used to when something doesn't go as planned. You pause, you reflect, you respond instead of reacting. Emotional maturity protects provision more than intelligence ever could. God trusts calm people with increase because they do not destroy what they build. God expects you to let go of the identity of struggle. This is subtle, but important. Some chosen ones become comfortable identifying as the one who always survives, always endures, always struggles but stays faithful. That identity served you before, but it cannot follow you now. You are allowed to thrive without explaining yourself. You are allowed to live well without guilt. Another expectation is that you stop waiting for permission to live fully. You do not need approval to rest, to enjoy, to grow, or to expand. God already approved you when He chose you. Delaying joy out of fear is no longer obedience. It is hesitation. God also expects you to protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your time, advice, or emotional labor. Overgiving leads to depletion. Balanced giving leads to multiplication. Learn the difference. God values boundaries because boundaries preserve purpose. You are also expected to trust quiet progress. Not every blessing will be loud. Not every win will be visible. Some of the most important shifts will happen privately. Resist the urge to measure progress by external applause. Heaven measures faithfulness, not attention. God expects you to move with gratitude, but not nostalgia. Do not romanticize the hard seasons. They taught you, but they are not meant to be revisited mentally. Thank God for bringing you through, then release the memory of suffering. Carry wisdom forward, not pain. There is also an expectation of courage, not reckless courage, but steady courage. Courage to say no, courage to wait, courage to trust, courage to believe that ease does not mean disobedience. God is allowed to bless you gently. Finally, God expects you to stay aligned with peace. If peace leaves, pause. If clarity fades, wait. Peace is not a reward. It is a compass. When peace leads, provision follows. This season is not about proving yourself to God. That work is done. It is about walking in agreement with what He has already decided for you. When you agree internally, life begins to cooperate externally. Warning: do not return to old mindsets. Now I need to speak to you firmly, but with care, because this part is protection. When God breaks a cycle, the only way it tries to return is through the mind. Not through circumstances first, but through thoughts. Old mindsets do not announce themselves as danger. They arrive disguised as caution, logic, or familiarity. That is why this warning matters. Do not return to survival thinking. Survival mode kept you alive, but it will sabotage abundance. Survival thinking asks, what if it disappears? What if this fails? What if I lose it all again? Provision thinking asks, what is God teaching me now? One mindset contracts your world, the other expands it. You must consciously choose which voice you entertain. Be careful not to confuse humility with fear. Fear often pretends to be wisdom. It says, don't expect too much. Don't get your hopes up. Stay small so you don't get hurt. That voice is not God. God does not lead His chosen ones with intimidation. He leads with peace and clarity. Caution rooted in fear will quietly pull you backward. Another old mindset to release is emotional attachment to struggle. Some of you became so familiar with hardship that peace feels strange. When things go smoothly, you wait for something to go wrong. That expectation keeps your nervous system in alert mode. You must train yourself to let ease exist without suspicion. Struggle is no longer proof of faith. Do not return to the belief that you must suffer to be worthy. That lie kept you humble during preparation, but it cannot follow you into provision. Worthiness was settled when God chose you. Blessings are not rewards for pain. They are expressions of alignment. Be cautious of scarcity conversations. What you repeatedly hear shapes what you expect. Constantly engaging in fear-based discussions about money, lack, or collapse will slowly reactivate old patterns. Protect your mental environment. Peace is not ignorance. It is discernment. Another dangerous mindset is comparison. Comparing your journey to others will distort your perception. Some people received quickly but lack depth. You were built for sustainability. Comparison steals gratitude and replaces it with pressure. Stay focused on your lane. God knows your capacity. Do not return to impulsive decision-making. Survival mode taught you to act quickly out of fear. Provision requires patience. Just because you can move does not mean you should. Wait for clarity. Impulse drains resources. Alignment multiplies them. Be careful with identity. Do not keep telling stories about how hard life has always been. Words reinforce identity. You are no longer the one barely making it. You are becoming the one who stewards well. Speak accordingly. Another old mindset is mistrust. When you have been disappointed repeatedly, mistrust becomes self-protection. But mistrust carried into abundance isolates you unnecessarily. Discernment is not suspicion. Allow God to show you who is safe now. Not everyone is against you. Do not return to guilt when things go well. Feeling guilty for peace is a sign of unresolved survival conditioning. You do not dishonor God by enjoying what He provides. Gratitude honors Him. Guilt rejects the gift. Also, do not romanticize the past. Yes, it made you strong, but strength does not require constant hardship. Wisdom allows rest. You are allowed to prefer stability. Watch for the urge to over-control. When things were uncertain, control felt like safety. In this season, over-control creates tension. Trust allows flow. Let God lead without micromanaging the outcome. Another warning is people-pleasing. Scarcity often makes people overextend themselves to feel secure. You do not need to earn belonging anymore. Say no when necessary. Boundaries protect energy. Do not return to internal self-criticism. Harsh self-talk was a motivator during survival. Now it becomes a toxin. Speak to yourself with wisdom and grace. How you treat yourself affects how you manage resources. Be careful not to equate speed with success. Fast growth without foundation collapses. God values longevity. Move steadily. Also, release the mindset of expecting disappointment. Expectation shapes experience. Hope does not make you naive. It makes you receptive. Finally, do not return to fear of loss. What God gives in this season comes with wisdom and covering. You are not fragile. The foundation is stronger now. This warning is not to scare you, it is to stabilize you. Old mindsets will knock, but you do not have to answer. You are not who you were when you were surviving. That chapter is closed. Stay aware, stay grounded, stay peaceful. The cycle is broken, and your mind must agree with what God has already decided. The purpose of wealth for the chosen ones. Now let me bring clarity, because without understanding purpose, wealth becomes dangerous. God does not release abundance to chosen ones so they can escape responsibility or live in excess without meaning. He releases it because wealth, in the hands of the chosen, becomes a tool for order, healing, and impact. When you understand why wealth is coming, you will no longer feel conflicted about receiving it. The first purpose of wealth for the chosen ones is freedom. Not indulgence, but freedom. Freedom from constant stress, freedom from survival decisions, freedom to say no when something is misaligned. Freedom creates space for discernment. When you are no longer controlled by financial fear, you can hear God clearly. That clarity alone is worth the increase. Wealth is also meant to stabilize you so you can stabilize others. Chosen ones are often anchors in families, communities, and environments that lack structure. God equips anchors with weight. Stability allows you to show up consistently, not just emotionally, but practically. You cannot pour from an empty cup forever. Another purpose of wealth is to restore dignity. Poverty strips dignity quietly. It forces people to tolerate things they should not. God restores dignity by restoring choice. When you have options, you regain self-respect, and dignity changes how you move, speak, and lead. Wealth also serves the purpose of expanding influence without striving. Influence does not always come from titles or platforms. Sometimes it comes from being the one who can help without drama, give without announcing, and support without control. Quiet influence is powerful. God trusts that kind of power to the chosen. Provision also allows you to build, not just consume. God places creative vision in chosen ones. Ideas that require resources, solutions that need funding, structures that bring order. Wealth becomes the fuel for vision. Without provision, vision remains theoretical. With provision, vision becomes tangible. Another purpose is healing generational wounds. When cycles are broken financially, trauma attached to lack begins to heal. Children grow up without the same fear. Choices expand. Legacy changes. You are not just changing your life, you are altering futures. Wealth also enables generosity without self-neglect. Giving from overflow is different from giving from depletion. God does not want you to burn out in the name of kindness. He wants you resourced so your giving is sustainable. Sustainable generosity reflects divine wisdom. Provision also allows you to move quietly when necessary. Chosen ones are often protected by discretion. Wealth gives you options without exposure. You do not need to explain every move. You can obey God without seeking approval. Another purpose of wealth is to free your time. Time is one of the most sacred resources. When survival no longer consumes your hours, you can invest time into prayer, learning, relationships, and service. Time is where true impact grows. Wealth also supports emotional stability. Financial pressure dysregulates the nervous system. When stability increases, healing accelerates. God cares about your mental health. Peace is not separate from provision. It is connected to it. Provision also allows you to choose integrity without fear. When you are not desperate, you are less likely to compromise values. Wealth protects character by removing pressure points. God knows this. Another purpose is preparation for greater responsibility. God often tests stewardship at one level before expanding influence. Wealth is training for leadership. How you manage resources reflects how you will manage people, projects, and purpose. Wealth also allows chosen ones to live as examples, not flashy examples, but grounded ones. Examples of balance, of generosity, of peace. People learn more from how you live than what you say. Provision also strengthens spiritual authority. Authority grows when words align with life. When you speak about faith from a place of experience, not desperation, your words carry weight. Another purpose of wealth is rest. True rest, not escape. Rest restores creativity, health, and perspective. God values rest because rested people make wise decisions. Wealth also allows you to respond quickly to divine prompts. Sometimes God asks for immediate action. Without resources, obedience is delayed. Provision makes obedience agile. Finally, wealth is meant to serve God's order, not replace Him. Chosen ones are trusted because they do not worship what God provides. They remain anchored to the source. Let me say this clearly. You are not being prepared for wealth so you can feel superior. You are being prepared so you can be stable, generous, wise, and free. Wealth is not your identity. It is your assignment. When you hold wealth with open hands and clear purpose, it becomes a blessing that multiplies without corrupting. That is why God waited, and that is why He trusts you now. Let me deepen this, because this understanding will keep your heart clean as provision increases. Wealth is also meant to protect your calling. Many chosen ones were forced to delay or minimize their assignment because of financial pressure. God never intended your purpose to be constantly interrupted by survival. Provision removes friction so calling can flow without resistance. Wealth also allows you to choose environments that nourish your spirit. You can remove yourself from places that drain you, stress you, or limit your growth. Environment shapes mindset. God uses provision to relocate you mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically into spaces that support who you are becoming. Another purpose of wealth is to model healthy relationship with resources. Many people only see extremes, obsession or avoidance. Chosen ones are meant to show balance, calm ownership, wise use. When others see money handled without fear or pride, it redefines what abundance can look like. Provision also allows you to invest in growth, education, skill, healing, development. These are not indulgences, they are stewardship. God is not offended by you investing in yourself. He sees it as preparation for greater impact. Wealth also creates the ability to respond with compassion instead of frustration. When someone is in need, you are not overwhelmed by your own lack. You can respond from peace. Compassion without resentment is a sign of abundance working properly. Another important purpose is long-term vision. Wealth allows you to think in decades, not days. You can build things that last, structures that serve, systems that outlive you. God values legacy more than momentary success. Provision also removes the temptation to tolerate misalignment. When you are financially secure, you are less likely to stay in unhealthy jobs, relationships, or commitments out of fear. That freedom preserves your integrity and peace. Wealth also allows you to give anonymously. Not all giving needs recognition. Anonymous generosity protects humility. God honors what is done in quiet alignment. Another purpose of wealth is to bring order where there was chaos. Financial stability creates structure. Structure brings peace. Peace allows growth. God is a God of order, and wealth is one of the tools he uses to establish it. Provision also strengthens patience. When urgency disappears, wisdom increases. You make choices based on values, not pressure. That shift alone transforms outcomes. Wealth also supports physical well-being. Stress-related illness often stems from prolonged financial strain. God cares about your body. Healing is easier when fear is removed. Another purpose is to support other chosen ones. God often connects his people in networks of support. When one rises, others are strengthened. Wealth becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Provision also allows you to honor God with excellence. Quality, care, thoughtfulness, excellence reflects respect. God is honored when his blessings are handled well. Let me leave you with this. Wealth is not coming to change who you are. It is coming to reveal who you have already become. The years of preparation shaped your character. The increase will simply amplify it. When wealth flows through purpose, it never enslaves. It serves. And when it serves, it multiplies in ways that go far beyond money. Calm, powerful conclusion and final activation. Take a slow breath here. Let your shoulders relax. Nothing you heard today was meant to rush you or pressure you. It was meant to settle you. God does not move his chosen ones with fear. He moves them with clarity, peace, and quiet confidence. If this message resonated deeply, it is because your spirit already knew what your mind is now catching up to. You were never behind, you were never forgotten, and you were never unworthy. Every season you walked through had purpose, even the ones that hurt. But that chapter is closing now. You are stepping into a season where provision flows with wisdom, not struggle, where peace becomes normal, where stability replaces survival. Do not worry about how it will unfold. God handles the how. Your responsibility is alignment. Stay grounded, stay obedient, stay calm. When you move with peace, life begins to cooperate with you naturally. Remember this. You do not need to announce your breakthrough. You do not need to convince anyone of what God is doing in your life. Let peace speak. Let consistency speak. Let fruit speak. What is meant for you will not miss you. Before you go, chosen ones, take a moment and like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tap the bell icon so you stay connected to messages meant for you. And share this with another chosen one who needs confirmation right now. And comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you received this message, that you are aligned, and that you are ready to walk forward without fear. Walk gently into this new season. The cycle is broken. God has already gone ahead of you.